Now, the U.S. is reportedly set to send 13,000 troops to Iraq, despite its claims of complete military withdrawal from the country. The vice president of the local council of Iraq's Salahuddin province says the troops, along with their vehicles, will be stationed at the Spiker airfield in Tikrit. The official added that there are dozens of military advisors already on the ground. Washington claims it's keeping advisors in Iraq to monitor the U.S. operations against ISIL there. This comes as the U.S. had earlier pledged not to send further troops to Iraq after its troops pull out from the country in 2011. Still, reports from Iraq reveal the U.S. has kept 8,000 troops there, mostly in the northern city of Erbil. So let's discuss this further and go to London and talk to Saeed Shahabi, political commentator. Welcome, sir. Mr. Shahabi, just how much do you think the Iraqi government would agree to U.S. boots on the ground?
Well, thank you very much. This is very significant. This is a news that has not been revealed before. To have 13,000 people on the ground is something that has taken the case to a different level of discourse. Because the Iraqis have struggled to get the occupiers out a few years ago, and I don't think they want them going out from the door and coming back from the window. So it seems to me that even conspiracy theories will now flourish, and many people will say that the ISIL situation and the ISIL creation has been one of the means by the Americans to come back to Iraq, which is unacceptable, I think, by most Iraqis.
And what guarantee is there that the U.S. would be able to defeat the ISIL terrorists, the very ones whom Washington trained and funded for the past 3 years?
Well, this is the whole situation, the whole problem, that on one hand you have the Saudis, the Qataris, the Gulf people, the Gulf monarchies, and then the Americans a year ago preparing to go to war with against Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and 1 year later, and of course at that time they were openly supporting and arming the rebels. And 1 year later, they are declaring that they want to go and fight against ISIL after they have become so vicious and so terrorist-minded people. Now, what is going on? Nobody seems to understand the logic of this politics. How can you support terrorists and then few years later, you go and fight against them? There is a deficiency in the Western politics and policies in the Middle East. I don't think, even if they go and, for example, let us assume that they go to Syria or to Iraq and defeat ISIL. Is that the end of terrorism? I do not believe so, unless there are two other elements that must be taken into consideration by the Western politicians if they want to be successful in maintaining peace and order in the world. There must be some democratization in the Middle East, but they have conspired to defeat most of the revolutions that want to change. Secondly, they also need to address the issue of occupation by the Israelis. And unless occupation and dictatorships are dealt with, terrorism will flourish here and there. And this is why we see terrorism flourishing in the Arabian Peninsula, because of all these factors. So if they want to be serious, they must address the whole issues of the Middle East.
Let's speak about the Iraqi army itself. How capable is the Iraqi army of fighting the ISIL terrorists on its own?
The problem is that the Iraqi army is not allowed to function. A month ago or so, the Iraqis were told to stop using their aircraft that have been imported and received from Russia a few months ago. They were stopped, and Dr. Haidar Abadi, after he was elected, he was told not to, apparently, or this is what I hear, that the air power must not be used against ISIS. So now they prepared the ground for them to come back from the window again. So the Iraqi army is capable if it is given the proper mandate, the proper training, the proper leadership, and the proper equipment. Iraq has been denied proper arms. The F-16s that have long been promised to be given to Iraq have not been delivered. And the Iraqis were forced to go and seek some air power from somewhere else. So I do not believe that the West is serious in making Iraq stand on its feet. So they want to go by themselves and do some airstrikes, but whether these airstrikes are going to disable the terrorists or not is very unclear at the moment.
All right, we'll leave it there for the time being. Many thanks to Saeed Shahabi, political commentator from London. Thanks for your time there, sir.